You're working hard and doing all the right things and checking all the right boxes, but yet you still feel behind and anxious and you're constantly second guessing yourself.
You're listening to Overwhelmed Working Woman, the podcast that helps you be more calm and more productive by doing less. I'm your host, Michelle Gauthier, a former overwhelmed working woman and current life coach. On this show, we unpack the stress and pressure that today's working woman experiences. And in each episode, you'll get a strategy to bring more calm, ease, and relaxation to your life.
Hi, friend. Today we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome. And I think sometimes when we just call it imposter syndrome, we think about ourselves having the thought like, how did I get this job? I'm not qualified for this, or something obvious like that. But today I'm going to talk about 3 sort of secret ways that imposter syndrome might be showing up in your life in a way that maybe you didn't realize. And if that's the case, what to do about it. Sign number 1 is that you downplay your accomplishments and chalk them up to luck instead. Let's say you get invited to speak on a panel, and instead of celebrating, your first thought is, well, they probably just couldn't find anybody else. And I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations like this with my one-on-one clients because I'll be talking to a woman who has this amazing job with tons of responsibility, and she's great at it. And she'll get asked to lead something or do something new. And the first question is, am I even qualified for this? Could they just not find anybody else? So if you notice this in yourself, you might have imposter syndrome. A great thing to do to combat something like this is to look back and actually remind yourself of all of the things that you have done and all of the hard work that you have put in, and also give credit to the luck you've had. There's always luck. Maybe someone has a connection who gets your foot in the door at some point, or you got lucky like me to come from a family where my parents were able to send me to college and I had that privilege. So you definitely get some lucky breaks along the way, but lucky breaks aren't enough to get you far in your career. Sneaky sign number 2 that you might have some imposter syndrome going on is you over-prepare or overwork because you don't feel qualified enough. So you're asked to give like a 15-minute update at work. This used to happen at my old job all the time where you would get invited to a meeting that you're not normally part of. I'm putting my hand up in the air because the meeting was higher than you were. And you're asked to give a 15-minute presentation or an update on something. And it's supposed to be simple, but you end up staying up past midnight for days, tweaking all the slides and rehearsing and being stressed out about it because deep down you're afraid that someone will realize, oh, she doesn't belong here. She doesn't know what she's talking about. And this matters because you waste so much time and energy on worrying about that when really you probably got invited to the meeting because you're the person who knows the most about it. Sign number 3 that you might have imposter syndrome is you hesitate to go for the next thing. So you see a job posting or a promotion, a new challenge, you have a secret desire to start a new business, but you automatically think, I'm not ready. And instead of saying yes, you stall. And this matters because when imposter syndrome is running the show, it's blocking your momentum and you end up stuck in your current role or your current relationship, even if you're totally capable of more. I read this somewhere and I can't remember where, or I would credit the source, but I read something that said when open job positions are posted and it will say, 7 to 10 years of experience required or whatever it is, that when women apply, they have like 10 to 12 years. They're overqualified for the position. And when men apply, they have like 3 to 5 years of experience, but they have the belief that they can do it. Why is that? That's because imposter syndrome is telling us that we can't do it, and they don't have that in this particular example. I'm not saying no men have it and all women have it, but in this particular example, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. Women feel like we have to be way overqualified. And men are like, let's give it a whirl. So I don't say this very often, but let's try to be like men in this situation. If you feel like there's something you want to go for and you've been thinking about it and you're hearing me say this right now, this is your sign. Even if you think I'm not ready, go for it. So those are 3 signs that imposter syndrome might be playing a role in your life. And if so, I gave you some tips for how to let go of that imposter syndrome and start believing that you are ready and that you earned where you are right now. I mentioned this on Monday, but I want to mention again that I'm going to put a link in the show notes to a quiz that is on my website that helps you get to the bottom of why you feel overwhelmed. Imposter syndrome could be the answer. Other answers could be people pleasing, boundaries, not managing your time or planning well, not being super focused on your productivity. There are many reasons why you could be overwhelmed. And if you take this quiz, it will tell you which one is causing the most problems for you and what to do about it. So check it out. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week, and I will see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Overwhelmed Working Woman podcast. If you want to learn more about my work, head over to my website at michellegothier.com. See you next week.